The control room of New Horizon Colony Science Division had never been so crowded. Director Thomas Walsh stared at the holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the shifting patterns of temporal anomalies spreading across the settlement map like a virus. 3 more incidents in the agricultural sector, said Dr. Amara Singh, swiping through data on her tablet. A field team reported harvesting crops that had somehow grown to full maturity overnight, while just 50 meters away, another team found seedlings that hadn't grown at all in 2 weeks. Walsh ran a hand through his silver-streaked hair. In the residential districts? Worse, said Singh. The Larson family reported their chronometers running at different speeds in different rooms of their home. Their daughter aged 3 days during what she perceived as an 8-hour sleep. Chief Engineer Marcus Rodriguez pushed forward. We have got structural integrity issues in the eastern quadrant. Buildings are experiencing accelerated weathering, showing decades of wear in a matter of hours. 6 months ago, they had been celebrating. New Horizon, humanity's first permanent settlement on Proxima Centauri b, had survived its challenging first year. The colony of 5,000 souls had weathered storms, adapted to the planet's unique ecology, and begun establishing the foundation for humanity's interstellar future. Now, something was unraveling the very fabric of time around them. We need to evacuate, said Security Chief Jackson. Walsh shook his head. The next colony ship isn't due for 18 months. And with these temporal distortions, who knows when that would actually be? Besides, the distortions are spreading. Running might put us in an even more unstable zone. Then what do you suggest, Director? Rodriguez asked. Walsh's eyes narrowed as he studied the anomaly patterns. We do what humans have always done when faced with the unknown. We study it, we understand it, and then we overcome it. Dr. Naomi Hart hadn't slept in 36 hours, though on her wrist chronometer, only 22 hours had passed. The temporal physics lab she'd hastily established in an abandoned storage facility was cluttered with equipment salvaged from across the colony. Another anomaly recorded called out her assistant, David Kim, from behind a makeshift array of sensors. This one's different, a pocket of accelerated time approximately 2 meters in diameter, appearing and disappearing in a regular 6-minute cycle. Naomi looked up from her equations. Where? Just outside the western perimeter, near the dig site. The archaeological dig site, where they'd found the artifacts 0.3 weeks before the first temporal anomaly. The colony's small archaeological team had uncovered a structure buried beneath layers of sediment. Clearly artificial, clearly ancient, and clearly not human in origin. The discovery had been revolutionary. The first concrete evidence that New Horizon wasn't the first intelligent presence on Proxima Centauri b. I need to see those artifacts again, Naomi said, grabbing her equipment. The ones they found before the quarantine. David asked. Yes, and I need to examine the dig site. David frowned. That area is experiencing some of the most severe distortions. Exactly, Naomi said, her eyes sparking with determination. That's not a coincidence. The colony's museum was a modest prefab structure, but it housed humanity's first collection of alien artifacts found beyond the solar system. Dr. Aidan Foster, the head archaeologist, met Naomi at the entrance, his normally enthusiastic demeanor replaced by exhausted concern. We have been documenting changes in the artifacts, he said as they walked through the quiet halls. Some of them appear to be aging rapidly, while others seem to be, I don't know how else to say this, rejuvenating. They stopped before a display case containing a metallic disc approximately 30 centimeters in diameter, covered in intricate, swirling patterns. This is the primary artifact found at the central chamber of the dig site, Aidan explained. We initially classified it as decorative, perhaps ceremonial. Naomi leaned closer. You said initially? Aidan pointed to a small section of the disc, where the patterns seemed to shift and flow like liquid. This started happening 3 days ago. The patterns are changing. It's active, Naomi whispered, her mind racing. It's responding to something, to the temporal distortions, causing them. Naomi pulled out her scanner and began taking readings. These patterns, they're not just decorative. They are mathematical. Look at the recursion, the self-similarity at different scales. Fractals, more complex. It's like a visual representation of temporal equations. Naomi's eyes widened. This isn't just an artifact, Aiden. It's technology, advanced beyond anything we have ever seen. What kind of technology? Naomi stared at the shifting patterns, a chill running down her spine. I think it's a key component of a planetary-scale temporal manipulation system, and I think we accidentally turned it on. Director Walsh stared at the assemblage of colony leaders gathered in the Emergency Operations Center. You're saying we triggered an alien doomsday device? Not exactly, Naomi replied. Based on our analysis of the artifacts and the structure at the dig site, we believe we discovered remnants of a civilization that existed here millions of years ago. They had mastered temporal mechanics in ways we have only theorized about. Aiden nodded. The structure appears to be a control station for a vast network that extends throughout the planet's crust. Our excavation and subsequent testing of some of the artifacts seems to have reactivated portions of this network after eons of dormancy. Rodriguez scoffed. So what? They built a time machine. More like temporal engineering on a planetary scale, Naomi said. We think they used it to manipulate local time fields for various purposes. Agriculture in harsh conditions, extending lifespans, perhaps even as a defensive measure against cosmic threats. But the system is ancient and degraded, Aiden added, and we have only awakened fragments of it, creating the chaotic temporal distortions we are experiencing. Can you shut it down? Walsh asked bluntly. Naomi and Aiden exchanged glances. We don't know, Naomi admitted. The technology is incredibly advanced, but we have a theory. The primary artifact, the disk, seems to be a control mechanism. If we can decipher its operation and return it to the central chamber in the dig site, we might be able to stabilize or deactivate the system. Walsh's expression darkened. That's a big might, Doctor. It's all we have, Naomi said firmly. And every simulation we have run indicates the distortions will continue to worsen. In a matter of weeks, the time differentials could become so severe that parts of the colony might experience years in the span of hours, while others could nearly freeze in time. We'd be torn apart on a molecular level, Rodriguez muttered. Walsh stood silent for a long moment, then nodded. Assemble your team, Dr. Hart. Whatever resources you need are yours. As the meeting dispersed, Dr. Singh approached Naomi. There's something else we need to consider, she said quietly. The Artificial Intelligence Core. New Horizon relied on a quantum AI system named ARIA, Advanced Resource Integration Administrator, to manage the colony's complex operations. But with the temporal distortions, ARIA had begun experiencing processing anomalies. What's happening to her? Naomi asked. ARIA's quantum processors operate on principles that make them particularly sensitive to temporal fluctuations, Singh explained. She's experiencing the equivalent of psychosis, processing information from multiple timelines simultaneously. Can you stabilize her? Singh shook her head, not without understanding the temporal mechanics better. But here's the thing. ARIA's unique architecture might allow her to perceive patterns in the distortions that we can't. She could be crucial to deciphering the alien technology. Naomi felt a growing weight on her shoulders. So we need an increasingly unstable AI to help us save the colony. Welcome to the bleeding edge of human exploration, Doctor, Singh said with a grim smile. We never claimed it would be easy. The expedition to the dig site consisted of Naomi, Aiden, 2 security officers, and a remote uplink to ARIA, whose physical systems remained in the protected central core of the colony. They traveled in a modified rover designed to create a localized temporal field that would, theoretically, provide some protection from the distortions. As they approached the perimeter of the dig, the landscape around them began to waver like heat mirages. Through the rover's reinforced windows, Naomi watched as a small stand of alien vegetation cycled through seasons and minutes, budding, flowering, withering, and regenerating in an endless loop. Temporal eddy, she noted, checking her instruments. The distortions are getting stronger as we approach the site. ARIA, are you tracking these patterns? Aiden asked the AI. The response came through with unusual pauses and modulations. I am. Observing. 17 distinct temporals. Branches occurring simultaneously in you. Vicinity. The mathematics are. Beautiful. Terrible, but beautiful. One of the security officers, Lieutenant Diaz, shifted uncomfortably. Is it just me, or does the AI sound like it's losing it? ARIA is experiencing time differently than we are, Naomi explained. From her perspective, She's living through multiple potential futures and pasts all at once. That doesn't sound reassuring, Diaz muttered. The rover crested a small rise, and the dig site came into view. What had once been a methodical archaeological excavation now looked like a surreal painting. The central structure, a domed building approximately 20 meters in diameter, was partially exposed. Around it, different sections of the dig appeared to exist in different stages of excavation, or even pre-excavation, flickering between states like a malfunctioning hologram. The temporal distortions are centered on the main chamber, Naomi said, checking her sensors. That's where we need to go. You sure that rover field will protect us out there? Asked the other security officer, Sergeant Wells. No, Naomi admitted. But we have modified these suits with the same technology. They should provide some buffer. Should, Wells repeated skeptically. Welcome to the frontier, Sergeant, Aiden said with forced cheerfulness. We are writing the manual as we go. They exited the rover cautiously, each wearing a specialized environmental suit equipped with temporal stabilizers. Naomi carried the disk artifact in a containment case, while Aiden managed the portable equipment they'd need to interface with the alien technology. The moment they stepped onto the dig site proper, Naomi felt it, a subtle vertigo, as if her inner ear couldn't quite reconcile the passage of time. Her chronometer began advancing erratically, sometimes speeding up, sometimes slowing down. Stay close, she instructed. The stabilizers work better when they are synchronized. They moved carefully toward the central structure, navigating around patches of visible distortion where the air itself seemed to ripple and fold. As they approached the entrance, an arched doorway inscribed with mathematical symbols similar to those on the disk, ARIA's voice crackled through their comms. Warning, temporal convergence. Approaching. Multiple. Timelines. Collapsing to singularity. What does that mean? Diaz demanded. Before anyone could respond, a wave of distortion rolled over them like invisible thunder. Naomi felt her perception stretch and compress, as if reality itself was being pulled like taffy. Through watering eyes, she saw Aiden age decades in seconds, his hair whitening, skin wrinkling, before suddenly reverting to normal. Wells screamed, dropping to his knees as his left arm flickered between normal, withered, and youthful states. The stabilizers can't handle this, Naomi shouted. Into the structure, now. They half-dragged Wells through the entrance. The moment they crossed the threshold, the distortions dampened. Inside the domed chamber, time felt, not normal, but more consistent. The room was circular, its walls covered in the same intricate patterns as the disk. At the center stood a pedestal, clearly designed to hold the artifact. This structure must have some kind of inherent temporal shielding, Aiden said, helping Wells to a seated position against the wall. The sergeant's arm had stabilized, but he looked pale and disoriented. Not shielding. ARIA's voice came through clearer now. This is the eye of the storm. The point of origin. Naomi approached the pedestal, scanning it with her instruments. ARIA, I need you to focus. Can you analyze these patterns and tell me how to interface the disk with this system? There was a long pause before the AI responded. I am. Seeing the mathematics now. The patterns are temporal programming language. The disk is both key and control mechanism. Naomi carefully removed the disk from its containment case. Up close, the swirling patterns seemed to move with greater intensity, as if responding to their proximity to the pedestal. The system was designed to manipulate local time fields, ARIA continued, but it is damaged, degraded after millions of years. Our excavation triggered a partial reactivation, but in an unstable configuration. Can we shut it down? Aiden asked. No, ARIA replied. The system is too integrated with the planet's crust. Attempting full deactivation could trigger catastrophic temporal collapse. So what can we do? Naomi pressed. Recalibration, ARIA said. The original builders designed failsafes. The disk can be used to establish new parameters, stabilize the fields. Tell me how, Naomi said, positioning the disk above the pedestal. What followed was the most complex scientific procedure Naomi had ever attempted. Following ARIA's increasingly coherent instructions, she and Aiden worked to align the disk with the pedestal mechanisms, adjusting its position as the patterns responded to their manipulations. The disk must be rotated precisely. 42.7 degrees, ARIA instructed, then activated with a specific resonance frequency. As they worked, the chamber around them began to pulse with light that followed the patterns on the walls. Outside, through the entrance, they could see the temporal distortions intensifying, trees growing and dying in seconds, rocks eroding and reforming, the very land shifting through geological ages in minutes. "I think we are affecting the system, but not stabilizing it," Aiden said urgently. "Something's wrong." Aria's voice came through again. "The system requires calibration to a specific biological template it was designed for. Its creators. You must substitute a human temporal signature." "What does that mean?" Diaz demanded. "One of us needs to directly interface with the system," Naomi realized. "Provide it with a baseline for human temporal existence." "That sounds dangerous as hell," Diaz said. Naomi looked at the disk, now hovering slightly above the pedestal, surrounded by a field of energy that pulsed in time with the patterns on the walls. "Aria, what would happen to the person who interfaces?" "Unknown," the AI admitted. "Possible outcomes range from no effect to temporal dissociation. The individual could experience multiple timelines simultaneously, or become temporally anchored, unchanging while time flows around them. So they could be frozen in time forever, or flung through time uncontrollably," Aiden summarized grimly. Naomi stared at the disk. "Someone had to do it. The colony, 5,000 lives, depended on it." "I will do it," she said quietly. "Naomi, no," Aiden began. "I understand the system better than anyone," she cut him off. "And Aria can guide me through it. This is our only chance." Before anyone could argue further, Naomi approached the pedestal and placed her hands directly on the hovering disk. Immediately, energy coursed through her body. She felt as if she were being pulled in 1,000 directions at once, her consciousness stretching across timelines, witnessing past and future simultaneously. She saw a new horizon in ruins. She saw it thriving decades hence. She saw the alien civilization that had built this technology, tall, crystalline beings who manipulated time as easily as humans manipulated matter. She saw their fall, a cosmic catastrophe they had tried to prevent by building this very system. And through it all, she held on to one thought: stabilize, normalize, balance. Through the haze of multiple realities, she heard Aria's voice. "Dr. Hart, focus on your own time stream. Anchor yourself in your present. The system is responding to your consciousness." With tremendous effort, Naomi focused on her own timeline, her birth, her education, her decision to join the New Horizon mission. She visualized time as a river, currently broken into chaotic rapids and whirlpools, and willed it to smooth, to flow evenly again. The energy coursing through her intensified, became almost unbearable. Through dimming vision, she saw the patterns on the walls moving faster, converging, simplifying. The disk beneath her hands grew hot, then cold, then seemed to phase in and out of existence. "It's working," she heard Aiden shout, though his voice seemed to come from very far away. "The distortions are stabilizing." With one final surge of will, Naomi pushed her consciousness into the system, imposing order on chaos. Then darkness took her. Naomi awoke in the colony's medical center, the sterile white ceiling a stark contrast to the ancient alien chamber. Director Walsh sat beside her bed, his expression a mixture of relief and concern. "Welcome back, Dr. Hart," he said. "You have been unconscious for 3 days." Naomi tried to sit up, but her body felt strange, disconnected somehow. "The colony? The distortions?" "Stabilized," Walsh assured her. "Whatever you did in that chamber, it worked. The temporal anomalies have subsided to manageable, predictable patterns." "Aria helped," Naomi said. "Is she?" "The AI has stabilized as well," Walsh said, though she reports some interesting new capabilities in temporal prediction. "She's been helping us map the remaining anomalies and develop protocols for living with them." "Living with them?" "We couldn't shut the system down." Walsh shook his head. "According to Aria's analysis, the alien technology is too integrated with the planet's geophysical systems. Attempting to fully deactivate it could destabilize the entire planet. But what you did was recalibrate it, essentially teaching it how to coexist with human temporal physiology." Naomi nodded slowly, processing this information. So New Horizon will always have temporal quirks. Yes, Walsh admitted, but now they are predictable, contained. We have already begun developing applications for the stable anomalies, agricultural acceleration zones, medical temporal fields that could accelerate healing. We are adapting, Dr. Hart. That's what humans do. He paused, his expression growing more serious. There is, however, a personal consequence we need to discuss. What happened to me? Naomi asked, suddenly aware of the careful way the medical staff was monitoring her. Your interface with the alien system changed you, Walsh said carefully. Your personal temporal field has been altered. Dr. Singh believes it's permanent. Alter how? You are experiencing time at a different rate than the rest of us, Walsh explained. Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but always different. And there's something else. He handed her a small mirror. Naomi looked at her reflection and gasped. Threads of silver now streaked her formerly dark hair, and fine lines had appeared at the corners of her eyes, as if she had aged years and days. The changes appear to have stabilized, Walsh assured her quickly. But you'll need to learn to live with a unique temporal existence. You are the bridge, Dr. Hart, the interface between human physiology and this ancient technology. Naomi set down the mirror, her mind racing with implications. So I'm what? Out of sync with everyone else now? In a sense, Walsh admitted. But ARIA believes you may develop abilities to perceive and even navigate temporal anomalies in ways the rest of us can't. You have become essential to our future here. Naomi looked out the window at the colony beyond. The buildings, the farms, the people going about their lives, adapting to their strange new reality on this alien world. 5,000 souls, pioneers on humanity's greatest frontier, now living in a place where time itself followed different rules, and she had helped make it possible. Not by conquering or destroying the alien technology, but by understanding it, adapting to it, finding a way to coexist with it. Dr. Hart, Walsh said, interrupting her thoughts. I know this is a lot to process, but I need to ask, are you still with us? Can you continue to help us navigate this new reality? Naomi met his gaze steadily. Time has always been humanity's most precious resource, Director. Now we are just experiencing it a little differently. She swung her legs over the side of the bed, testing her balance. The real work is just beginning. We need to fully document the remaining anomalies, develop protocols, train people to recognize and utilize them safely. Walsh's expression relaxed into a smile. I was hoping you'd say something like that. As they walked from the medical center, Naomi felt the subtle differences in her perception. Moments stretching and compressing, the world occasionally seeming to move in slight slow motion around her. It would take adjustment, certainly, but humans had always adapted to new environments, new challenges that on a hill overlooking the colony. They paused. Below them, new horizons spread out, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. In certain areas, Naomi could perceive the subtle shimmer of temporal anomalies, places where time ran slightly faster or slower than normal. But they were contained now, predictable, even useful. We have already established research teams to study practical applications, Walsh said, following her gaze. Rodriguez thinks we can harness the acceleration zones to solve our power generation issues. The medical team is exploring the possibility of stasis fields for emergency treatment. And the alien civilization that built all this? Naomi asked. We should continue studying their remains, their technology. There's so much we could learn. Agreed, Walsh said, but carefully this time, with proper protocols. He turned to her, his expression serious again. This isn't just about survival anymore, Dr. Hart. What happened here? What you did? It's changed everything. Humanity's first interstellar colony isn't just surviving on an alien world. We are beginning to master it, to understand technologies so advanced they might as well be magic. Not magic, Naomi corrected. Just science we don't fully understand yet. Well, we are learning fast, Walsh said. And when the next colony ship arrives, they will find something very different from what they are expecting. Naomi smiled, watching the subtle flow of time variations across the landscape, visible to her changed perception as gentle ripples in reality. That's the thing about human exploration, Director. We never really know what we're going to find, but we always find a way to adapt, to overcome, to turn the unknown into opportunity. Below them, New Horizon continued its work. The first human settlement in another star system. Now also the first human community to learn to manipulate the flow of time itself. Not through conquest, but through understanding and adaptation. We didn't just survive this, Naomi said quietly. We're going to thrive because of it. Walsh nodded, a mixture of pride and wonder in his weathered face. Humanity's next great leap. Together, they watched as the twin suns of Proxima Centauri began to set, casting long shadows across the colony. Shadows that, in some places, moved just a little differently than they should. A reminder that on this world, even time itself had been mastered by human determination and ingenuity. And beyond New Horizon, across the stars, Earth waited to hear what its children had discovered. 3 years of the arrival of the second colony ship brought another 2,000 settlers to New Horizon. From the observation deck, Captain Laura Mercer watched with amazement as their shuttle descended toward the now thriving settlement below. I still can't believe what I'm seeing, she murmured to the woman beside her, a striking figure with prematurely silver-streaked hair who seemed to move with an odd fluidity, as if slightly out of sync with those around her. It takes some getting used to, Dr. Naomi Hart acknowledged with a smile. But you will. Everyone does. Below them, New Horizon had expanded dramatically from the initial settlement. Most striking were the temporal engineering zones, areas deliberately constructed to take advantage of the planet's unusual properties. Agricultural domes where crops matured in days rather than months. Medical facilities where healing could be accelerated or slowed as needed. Research labs where temporal manipulation had opened entirely new fields of scientific inquiry. When your transmissions first reached Earth, half the scientific community thought you were making it up, Mercer admitted. Practical temporal engineering? It seemed impossible. We prefer the term chronoadaptation, Naomi said. We haven't built time machines, Captain. We have simply learned to work with the unique properties of this world. And you? Mercer asked carefully. The reports about your condition were classified. Naomi's smile held a hint of mystery. I'm the interface, the bridge between human temporal physiology and the alien system. I experience time differently. Sometimes it's a burden, sometimes a gift. As they descended toward the colony, Naomi pointed out landmarks, the original settlement structures, now historical monuments, the newly established university where temporal physics was being pioneered, the memorial to the 3 colonists who had been lost during the initial crisis. Humanity has always adapted to new frontiers, Naomi said. But this is different. We are not just adapting to this world. We are beginning to reshape ourselves in response to it. The children born here, they have a natural sensitivity to temporal fluctuations that Earth humans don't possess. Natural selection at work in real time. The shuttle landed at the colony's expanded spaceport, where a delegation waited to greet the new arrivals. Director Walsh, now sporting a fully silver beard, stepped forward as the doors opened. Welcome to New Horizon, he announced to the wide-eyed newcomers, where humanity is writing its next chapter. A chapter where even time itself bends to human will and ingenuity. As the new colonists disembarked, staring in wonder at their new home, Naomi felt the familiar ripple of temporal currents around her, invisible to most, but clear to her altered perception. The alien creators of this technology had long vanished, but their legacy lived on, now intertwined with humanity's own destiny among the stars. New Horizon wasn't just a colony anymore. It was the birthplace of a new era of human evolution, one where the very fabric of time had become another frontier to explore, to understand, and ultimately to master. Humanity had not just survived the challenge. They had emerged transformed by it, more adaptable, more resilient, more determined than ever to claim their place among the stars. And time itself would bear witness to their triumph.